Well, looks like the cat's out of the bag. Or should I say crock?
Oh, brother!
Man, what a way to kick off Donkey Kong December, right? Yeah, it's a thing. King K Rool and the Kremlings are officially back, baby, and have been for like 4.5 months. Now, I'm fairly certain that an overwhelming majority of you watching this video are already well aware of the absolutely insane ending of Donkey Kong Bananza, and if you aren't, the fuck are you watching this video for? So why am I even bringing this up then? Well, as it turns out, we recently got a new development regarding K Rool and the Kremlings, coming from the Nintendo Today app of all things. About a week ago, the Nintendo Today app received an update adding in a new theme centered around Donkey Kong. Now, normally that wouldn't be big news in itself, but it just so happens that this new Donkey Kong theme has given us some brand new animations and renders of King K Rool and the Kremlings. And if you ask me, might actually be hinting at something way bigger than it initially lets on, as I genuinely think this might be the start of K Rool and the Kremlings retaking the throne not only as Donkey Kong's main foes, but also their rightful place back in the Nintendo spotlight. But how? Right? Wouldn't that have been back when Bananza came out? Well, not necessarily. See, a fact that I think a lot of people, especially now, tend to forget is that Nintendo themselves have yet to really acknowledge anything from the ending of Donkey Kong Bananza. The only aspect of the ending they have acknowledged so far is the fact that Void Kong is still alive, which, let's be honest, if you know anything about the ending of this game, is like the most shocking development of them all. But in terms of anything related to K Rool and the Kremlings outside of a sneaky amiibo restock, Nintendo has been radio silent, making this new Donkey Kong theme for Nintendo Today the first time they have openly acknowledged this game's major twists since it released. Now let's be real, this was always going to happen at some point, so why am I making a big deal about this now? Well, because of how long it's actually taken them to do so. Look, I don't think anyone was expecting Nintendo to start making posts about the return of the Kremlings a week after Bananza came out, despite the fact that it was pretty much an open secret that K Rool was going to make some sort of appearance within the game. In fact, one could argue it would have been more financially attractive for Nintendo to start marketing the twist ending of Bananza as soon as possible, as not only could marketing the ending sell way more units, but could have also been a huge opportunity for merchandising. And in a time where it feels like any sort of big secret or surprise is spoiled immediately in order to earn a couple extra bucks, I think it's extremely commendable that both Nintendo and the Donkey Kong community as a whole was able to keep this on the hush-hush for as long as they have. But let's be real, I could have easily been sitting here saying the same thing had they decided to acknowledge the twist for the first time all the way back in September. See, by the time the September Direct had rolled around, which took place almost 2 whole months after Bananza's release, it seemed like a lot of people got the chance to experience all the wonders this game had to offer, and naturally we're expecting some sort of acknowledgement from Nintendo. I mean, it truly did look like the stars were perfectly aligned for something like this to happen. I mean, Mario Kart World was starting to become a little stale, talks of Donkey Kong related DLC had been thrown around since the game's release, people were now starting to spot the voice actors of Void Kong and K Rool in World's credits, and there had been an amiibo restock for King K Rool the day before this Direct premiered. You can't get more perfect than that. But as I'm sure you all know at this point, we didn't get anything about the Crocs in this Direct at all, even in points where it would have made sense. See, we didn't end up getting any news about Mario Kart or DLC for it in this Direct, which was disappointing. In fact, I think it kind of killed the game for a little bit, but that didn't really have anything to do with K Rool. Mario Kart DLC could literally be fucking anything, so to act like we didn't hear anything about it because of King K Rool is a bit of a stretch. But what did stand out was the DLC portion for Donkey Kong Bananza. Not only did this glorified post-game content cost $20 fucking dollars, but literally had zero references to the return of K Rool and the Kremlings. The closest thing we had here was them showing the wreck ship for about a split second, and that's a bit of a stretch on its own. So yeah, this really is the first time Nintendo has openly acknowledged anything about the Kremlings, and is why I'm making such a big deal about it now. But there is another reason as to why I think these simple animations might be letting on more than you think. For those unaware, the themes for Nintendo Today are basically cute little animations played to show you what day of the month it is, with each day having its own dedicated animation. They're nothing crazy, but they are a neat inclusion. But let me tell you, 31 unique animations, 32 if you count birthdays, and probably even more for certain specific holidays, is a tall task for just about every series. You can't just have Mario jumping as the animation for 2 weeks straight, which is why all of these themes tend to use as much as they can from their respective series, and Donkey Kong is no different. Obviously, there's quite a few animations dedicated to Donkey Kong and the rest of the DK crew, but in addition to the Kremlings, we also have animations for Voidco, the Snowmads, and Tiki Tong. Now, Voidco makes sense because they are still technically the main antagonists of Bananza, and going by the looks of it, might be new mainstays for the Donkey Kong series going forward, which I'm 100% okay with. But it really is interesting to me that out of all of Donkey Kong's past foes, the Kremlings are the only ones to get new animations and renders. Fucking Funky Kong didn't get that treatment. Let me make that really clear for you. Instead of reusing using animations or cutscenes from Bananza, which is what these two did, the makers of this theme intentionally chose to give us new animations of K Rool and the critters specifically for this app. This makes sense for characters like Diddy, Dixie, and Cranky, as I have no doubt they're going to be used again sometime in the near future, as I don't think them being sidelined in this game was any indication of their roles going forward. But the fact that the same love and care was put into the Kremlings means that they may be back way sooner than a lot of us were expecting. You don't just do this for no reason, and the fact that this is also the first time Nintendo has acknowledged them at all is a little more than a coincidence to me. So then what exactly does this all mean then? Well, it means one thing. It means we're going to be seeing a whole lot more of the Kremlings really soon. But first, let's clear up some misguided rumors. As I'm sure most of you have heard, there has been a data mine of the Nintendo Today app that supposedly hints at K Rool making an appearance in Mario Kart World. This is not true. The data mine did happen, and K Rool was found within the data mine. The data that was found referring to K Rool, though, was his animation and date that he'll be used. That's it. Any linkage to Mario Kart or Mario Kart World related DLC is non-existent, but that hasn't stopped it from spreading like wildfire. Look, I firmly believe that K Rool and Void Kong will make their debut in Mario Kart World very soon, as there's a good amount of evidence pointing to that being the case, especially now that Nintendo has acknowledged that K Rool is officially back in the fold. So in a way, these people are right, just not on the specifics, and although we all hope this would have gotten announced back in September, it does seem more likely now that we'll get this announcement early on in 2026, whenever the next Direct will be. But I believe this goes a lot deeper than just K Rool and Mario Kart, as I wouldn't be surprised come next year that we start seeing more merchandise based on K Rool and the Kremling crew. I imagine this will start with small drops at the Nintendo World stores and Nintendo World respectively, because Lord knows I didn't buy enough when I was there. But I think this will slowly transition into more wide-scale retail releases the more and more these guys start appearing in more things, which at this point seems more like an inevitability than not. And I guess I'll call it now, I think Mario spin-offs this generation are going to look eerily similar to those back on Wii. Not to mention that it seems extremely likely that the Kremlings will play some sort of role in the upcoming Donkey Kong movie in 2028. And of course, this goes without saying, but I think these guys are also very likely going to be the main villains of the next major Donkey Kong game, whether that be 2D or 3D, which for the first time in over a decade, I think I can confidently say that I think we'll be seeing that a lot sooner rather than later. Either way though, it seems like Nintendo is just starting to plant the seeds of what will ultimately become the Kremlings' true return to form. And man, as someone who grew up in an era where they were practically already gone, this is beyond my wildest dreams, and I could only imagine what it must feel like to be someone who actually grew up with them. But as seems to be the underlying theme of 2025, the Donkey Kong franchise seems to have a pretty bright future ahead of it for the first time in quite a while. Looks like dreams do come true. Man, that was fucking sappy. Anyway, see ya.